1,602, Sarawak 1,538, Penang 1,451, Johor 1,367 and Kelantan 1,176. Meanwhile, 952 new cases were reported in Perak, Kuala Lumpur 891, Pahang 506, Negeri Sembilan 478, Terengganu 470, Melaka 363, Perlis 57, Putrajaya 24 and Labuan 7.
Khas untuk penjawat awam. Dapatkan pembiayaan peribadi sehingga RM200,000 dengan kadar keuntungan serendah 2.69% dan menangi sebuah pangsapuri bernilai RM100,000. Jom sertai kempen Money for Merdeka CBP. Hubungi kami hari.
Now, earlier Monday, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob started work officially at Perdana Putra Putrajaya. Ismail Sabri, who arrived at the main block of Perdana Putra, which houses the Prime Minister's office at about 8:25 a.m, was greeted by Chief Secretary to the Government Tan Sri Muhammad Zuki Ali and Senior Deputy Secretary General of the Prime Minister's Department, Datuk Jamil Rakon.
Ismail Sabri then clocked in at his office on level 5 of the Perdana Putra building, and this was followed by the reading of the Doa led by the Prime Minister's Department Integrity Officer Muhammad Reza Ahmad before he signed the welcome book. Ismail Sabri, aged 61, took his oath of office as Malaysia's 9th Prime Minister last Saturday. His appointment was consented by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah in accordance with Article 40, subsection 2A and Article 43, subsection 2A of the Federal Constitution. In his maiden speech as Prime Minister on Sunday, Ismail Sabri introduced the concept of the Malaysian family by urging the people of various religions, races and ethnicities to help the nation recover from the current economic and health situation.
Right, the Sultan of Selangor, Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah, reminded all Selangor State Assemblymen not to be engaged in too much politicking and fight for power and positions to the point of forgetting the main responsibility of championing the people's welfare. His Royal Highness, when opening the 4th meeting of the 14th Selangor State Legislative Assembly on Monday, expressed his sadness and regret at the recent turmoil, strife and political uncertainty that happened in the country.
Tidakkah ahli-ahli yang berhormat sedar bahawa apabila pemimpin politik berebut kuasa dan keadaan politik menjadi tidak stabil, maka rakyat terpaksa menanggung kesusahannya. Nampaknya ahli-ahli yang berhormat tidak mahu belajar dari sejarah tentang kejatuhan sesebuah negara akibat perebutan kuasa dan mengakibatkan perpecahan di dalam masyarakat.
The Sultan said the Assemblymen obviously knew how the people were suffering with the country facing the COVID-19 pandemic and should take note of the problems faced by the people in their respective areas, especially to identify the assistance that needs to be channeled to those affected. He said the elected representatives should also check on the number of people who lost their jobs and find ways to help them, besides getting data on those who lost their parents, place of dependence and facing stress, so that such matters could be raised to the state government to determine the form of assistance to be given.
Bantulah mereka, carilah mereka, bukan sekadar mencari mereka untuk mendapat undi sewaktu pilihan raya semata-mata.
His Royal Highness also reminded them that the mandate given by the people is a trust from God that must be shouldered honestly, responsibly and sincerely.
Meanwhile, Sultan Sharafuddin has urged the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission to conduct a thorough investigation into graft-related reports involving all parties to rid the state of any corrupt practices. He also hoped that the perpetrators would be brought to justice and, if convicted, should be punished with severe penalties to convey the message to the people to reject corruption.
His Royal Highness, in expressing his regrets that there are those who are dishonest in carrying out their trust as civil servants and as political leaders, despite being reminded many times. He also received reports on the MACC's investigation against political leaders related to corruption and abuse of power.
Beta ingatkan sekali lagi bahawa beta tidak mahu mendengar sebarang laporan tentang penglibatan mana-mana pegawai kerajaan dan pemimpin politik negeri beta dalam amalan rasuah ini. Rasuah tidak cari tempat di dalam masyarakat dan perlu kita perangi secara habis-habisan.
Sultan Sharafuddin said the dream of becoming a developed state would be difficult to achieve if political leaders and government officials continued to focus on power and position and viewed graft as a way of life by disregarding the interest of the people and not trying to redevelop the state's economy, which was badly affected by COVID-19.
Beta bimbang pada usia beta 75 tahun ini, beta tidak sampai untuk melihat negeri Selangor menjadi sebuah negeri yang maju dan pesat membangun dengan segala kemudahan yang menjamin keselesaan rakyat seperti yang kita semua idaman.
In the meantime, he also expressed his appreciation and gratitude for the sacrifice and commitment of all frontliners, especially doctors, nurses and hospital staff who have been working hard to provide treatment to COVID-19 patients. Sultan Sharafuddin also reminded individuals who have completed their COVID-19 vaccination not to be complacent and feel that they are already immune to the virus. The Sultan urged the people to continue complying with the standard operating procedures set by the Ministry of Health and to always observe the new normal to help the government tackle the COVID-19 pandemic. He also expressed hope that the people in Selangor would give their full cooperation in getting vaccinated against COVID-19.
Ahli yang berhormat, semua perlu memainkan peranan untuk menasihatkan rakyat agar segera mengambil suntikan vaksin COVID-19 supaya negeri Selangor boleh mencapai imuniti kelompok pada tarikh yang disasarkan.
The Sultan also expressed concern over the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country, especially Selangor, saying that he was sad to see the state still recording the highest daily tally of COVID-19 cases and deaths in Malaysia.
Namun apa daya, nasib sudah menjadi bubuh, nyawa rakyat beta yang telah mati akibat wabak COVID-19 tidak dapat dikembalikan. Apa yang penting sekarang ini adalah untuk kita melangkah ke hadapan dengan penuh positif dan mengharapkan kesilapan dan kelalaian yang berlaku tidak kita ulangi semula.
The new administration need to rebrand and instill business confidence as well as to enhance the efforts to deal with COVID-19 pandemic in the country. Political analyst Bridget Welsh said the new administration under Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob need to reform the current COVID-19 management process in order to be more holistic to tackle the pandemic.
In terms of a geostrategic positioning for Malaysia, I think that Malaysia's competitiveness has been negatively affected by its policies during COVID-19. So there will need to be outreach, greater, and this will be conditional on having a cabinet that is full of, that is not necessarily similar. It has to be considerably different than the past, especially in the key appointees.
Welsh also said there is a need to create a situation with more independent bodies and handling of corruption issues. She said reforming a cabinet is Ismail Sabri's first major task, while at the same time he needs to manage the dynamic relationship with all the political parties.
I believe we'll likely not take cabinet positions, but we'll be looking for something that is substantive for their cooperation and their support within Parliament. And I think that these measures in terms of COVID-19 and reforms would have to actually be something that they can appease their political base.
According to her, Ismail Sabri must appoint the people who has experience in key ministries such as finance, health and social welfare in order to have better coordination and handling of the issues.
And finally, there is this issue of rebranding and creating a much more coordinated government. Therefore, in this regard, the cabinet needs to be less people, not seen as accommodating everyone, but actually putting the right people for the right jobs in place.
She said this in Midday Update program produced by Bernama TV on Monday.
Police are tracking down 4 men believed to be locals suspected to be involved in the robbery of a goldsmith outlet in Jalan Metro Perdana Kepong at 5:30 p.m. Sunday. Central District Police Chief ACP Beh Eng Lai said the 4 suspects who wore face masks, helmets and armed with hammers and axes took about just 1 minute to storm the outlet.
Beh said they escaped with several necklaces and bracelets believed to be worth hundreds of thousands of ringgit. During the incident, one of the suspects pretended to scan the MySejahtera application before 3 other individuals stormed into the premises. At the time of the robbery, 7 female workers were on the premises and one of them fainted after she was pushed by one of the suspects. Police had identified 2 motorcycles believed to be used by the suspects, adding that further investigations were being carried out. Beh also urged the public who had information regarding the incident to come forward at any police station to assist in the investigation.
An outdoor recreation operator was rescued by his humble bamboo crop when his adventure tour business had to stop operation for more than a year following the COVID-19 pandemic. Captain retired Ahmad Azwan Osman, who is the owner of Recreation Outdoor Hikers, now tends to his crop of 200 bamboo clumps every day by harvesting bamboo shoots in the 1-hectare farm.
Ahmad Azwan, when met at his farm in Bukit Queen, Kuantan, said it was a timely venture, as the previous owner who bought the farm in 2019 could not attend to the crop due to poor health, while his own tour business had run to a halt a year ago. So he took over the farm to feed his family. Every morning, armed with a machete, he goes to his farm to harvest shoots from his crop of honey bamboo, known scientifically as Gigantochloa albociliata.
Maksudnya, ni tanah ni saya sewa. Okey. Jadi saya fikir alternatif nak buat apa. Kalau saya nak meniaga ikan patin, ramai dah orang meniaga ikan patin. Nak meniaga jual makanan, ramai dah orang meniaga jual makanan. Jadi persaingan tu tinggi. Jadi saya cari-cari kat Facebook kan. Tengok orang meniaga apa, saya tengok orang tak ada jual rebung. Ada orang jual rebung tapi rebung yang import lah. Rebung fresh tak ada. Bila
He went into venture without any agricultural knowledge, but he persevered by surfing the internet as well as watching YouTube video on bamboo farming and processing honey bamboo shoots until he obtained the satisfactory results. Even though maintaining bamboo is not difficult, Ahmad Azwan, who retired from the armed forces in 2013, is more fearful of wild animals foraging in the forest to his crop.
pokok buluh yang betul-betul dijaga, dia dapat menghasilkan satu rumpun ni dalam 4 rebung yang boleh dituai dalam satu masa. Tapi disebabkan ni buluh-buluh ni tak apa nak terjaga, ni rumpun buluh dah tua-tua kan, jadi tak adalah banyak sangat satu rumpun. Tapi kebiasaannya sekali tuai, saya boleh tuai antara 10 hingga 15 kilo rebung.
Setiap hari lah?
Setiap hari.
His products are marketed to customers around Kuantan and also delivered to bamboo shoot fans as far as Kuala Lumpur. His raw honey bamboo shoots are sold at 10 ringgit per kilogram, while the boiled products are priced at 15 ringgit, and orders would be sent out at 4 p.m. on the same day to ensure its freshness.
khas untuk penjawat awam. Dapatkan pembiayaan peribadi sehingga RM200,000 dengan kadar keuntungan serendah 2.69% dan menangi sebuah pangsapuri bernilai RM100,000. Jom sertai kempen Money for Merdeka CDP. Hubungi kami hari ini.
Bersama kita menyemarakkan sambutan Bulan Kebangsaan dan kibar jalur gemilang. Zahirkan rasa cinta demi negara. Malaysia prihatin. Selamat Hari Kebangsaan 2021.
More news updates. Australia is willing to assist with evacuations from Afghanistan after August 31st if the United States decides to delay its withdrawal. US President Joe Biden last week said US troops may stay in Afghanistan past an August 31st deadline to evacuate Americans.
There is, as you will have seen from public reporting, a discussion going on about the prospect of the United States extending its withdrawal deadline. We are part of those discussions, and if they are to be extended, we are absolutely ready to support a continuing operation at Hamid Karzai International Airport.
Australia's Foreign Minister Marise Payne said Australia would be willing to support further rescue flights. Payne, however, did not specify whether the 250 military personnel deployed by Australia would remain if evacuations are extended. Australia has evacuated about 1,000 citizens and Afghans from Kabul in the past week. Australia's government is under mounting pressure to expedite the rescue of Australians and Afghans who worked for the country during its two-decade-long involvement in Afghanistan. However, Prime Minister Scott Morrison has warned Australia is unlikely to be able to help all the Afghans who had provided assistance, offering 3,000 visas to fleeing Afghans from Australia's existing humanitarian visa program of 13,750 a year.
Anti-government and anti-fascist protesters clashed in Portland, Oregon on Sunday. Following separate rival demonstrations, the two rallies remained peaceful until about 4 p.m. local time, when journalists at the scene began reporting the first clashes.
It said pepper spray and possibly other explosive devices may have been used in the skirmishes, but it was not immediately clear which side had deployed them. A journalist reported that a man had taken out a gun and started shooting as members of the anti-fascist Antifa group assembled downtown, citing bystander witnesses. Nobody was hurt when the man fired a handgun at demonstrators. The shooter was later arrested. The shooting occurred after an earlier clash in northeast Portland that saw right-wing protesters using paintball guns and fireworks against left-wing anti-fascist counter-protesters.
As a reminder, please adhere to the COVID-19 guidelines and SOPs during this MCO and keep travelling to a minimum or stay at home. If you are out and about, be sure to observe physical distancing as well as practice good hygiene. In the meantime, stay tuned to Bernama TV for more news updates. I'm Muzammil Abdullah. Thank you and goodbye.